Foreign Minister, welcome to the show. A lot for us to discuss this evening. If I may, I would like to start with Ukraine, because what we've heard today, and you surely would have heard it in the corridors there of Davos, was a very exasperated and angry President Zelensky, who clearly is tired of making the same speech time and time again. He was talking about Groundhog Day and directing his wrath at Europe. Does he have a point, Foreign Minister?
I have met with President Zelensky team and the team for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs many times, because we are the country with the longest NATO border to the conflict. And I understand his feelings. The European leaders are now convened the European Council tonight as well in Brussels. This being said, though, I think there are also some positive elements to the conversation in Davos and through the developments of these days. And President Zelensky has also been thankful to the messages that President Donald Trump has given. And truth being told, and I say this as a bordering country and as a European country, there is a large consensus among us that Ukrainians are the first one to lead the battle. They have done an amazing courageous thing throughout the 4 years that are going to be 4 years now on the 24th of February. We have helped from the European Union and many partners around the globe. But we know when we sit at the same table that without the United States, this war cannot end. Without the United States and the support that the United States provide, it might not have been lasted so much in terms of the resilience of the Ukrainians in the war.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because, something that he said, Foreign Minister, that stood out to me. He said that Europe, and one of the points he was making, that Europe's true reliance on the US. And then he added, I'm going to quote him, Europe still remains in Greenland mode. Maybe someday someone will do something, he said. Are you offended at all by these words? Because some say he's criticizing one of the strongest allies and supporters in the war against Putin. If so, what is the strategy from Europe going forward?
Well, we are going to continue organizing in terms of financial support. We're going to continue organizing inside of NATO. And for Romania, it has been especially important that NATO was mentioned through the speech. I have seen the taglines from a negative angle. I have to say, for a country that relies so much on our security, not just on our own defense, but on NATO partnership and the strategic partnership with the United States, that it has been a great news that President Donald Trump on stage has clarified that he sees no risks to the NATO alliance going further.
What has Europe learned, Foreign Minister, from its relationship with President Trump, as we see, of course, this change in the world order?
We have had conversations among leaders this morning, and it is quite clear for us that we see a shift that is not temporary. The conversations we had lead to the conclusion that a new way of collaborating, a new way of organizing needs to be built, that nostalgia is no strategy, and that we cannot just rely on the hope that the way we have built this partnership or have collaborated in the past is going to be the future. This being said, I think there's also good news that the business environment has celebrated in terms of President Donald Trump not continuing with the proposals for the tariffs imposed on some of the European countries. For us at the European level, it was quite clear that we needed to address this together collectively, because we have a single market and we are aware of the fact that each of one of us separately has a lower negotiation power. But also because I've had many conversations with the business environment here in Davos as well, American investors. I think beyond the temporary moment in our relationship, the fact that we have more than 1.5 trillion in commercial exchanges, more than 5 trillion in investments across the transatlantic relationship is going to be the element that's going to continue to keep this relationship very strong. I am not among those European leaders that consider that we need to shift away from the United States or that there is a future that can be prosperous and that can guarantee security in which the transatlantic relationship is not absolutely key.